Hello everyone, welcome back again to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got a card for you. Now on this card I've used the Lovely as a Tree stamp set, which I've done quite a few tutorials using that. So I thought I'd just change the stamp set I'm going to use. I'll let you know how I actually made this one. I actually cut my own template as such, using one of the layering ovals from the layering oval framelits that Stampin' Up have, and then I just layered it, just popped it on top of my Whisper White piece, and then using the sponge brayer I just sponged the oval in Bermuda Bay, and I removed it. And you can keep that as your framelit for later if you want to use it more than once. And then I just stamped the tree just off the oval a little bit in Early Espresso, and then I stamped the thank you sentiment in Early Espresso. So it's quite a simple card, but I thought I'd like to show you one of the new colours that Stampin' Up have brought out, which is soft sea foam. So we'll just pop that card over there because we're going to use the brayer, but it's just going to be a little bit of a different layout of the card. So this is a stamp set, one of the new ones that I'm going to be using, which is called Dandelion Wishes. And it has 6 images in it. It's got 3 lovely sentiments, and then it has this group of 3 flowers, this one on its own, and this little image up here in the corner, which I've used on the inside of my card. So I'll just grab my grid paper. So this is the new sea foam colour. It's like a greenish colour, and this is the matching stamp pad in the actual colour soft sea foam. It's going to take me a while to remember these new colours. So all I did was cut this at 11 inches by 4 1/8 of an inch wide, and then scored it at 5 1/2. And then what I did was I just took a piece of not Whisper White, but just photocopy paper. Instead of, if you make a lot of cards like me, instead of wasting your good Whisper White, I'll use just normal photocopying paper. And I've cut that at 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8, and then I put it on my Stamparatus, and I just stamped a few of those little flowers, the ones that blow off of the dandelion flowers, and it's just that little image there, and I just stamped it up in the corner, and then I used some snail to adhere it to the inside of my card. And then what I'm going to do is I've got a piece of Early Espresso, which measures 5 1/4 inches by 3 7/8, and I'm just going to glue that straight on. That's my first mat. So I find that the Early Espresso goes really well with the new colour soft sea foam. Just seems to complement it. There's probably that nice chocolatey colour. So then I'm just going to pop that onto my card, and I've used Tombow glue so that if I don't get it exactly straight, I can move it a little bit. Oh, so it's nice and centered. Just running my fingers round the outside so you can see how nice that chocolate is with that lovely sea foam, soft sea foam colour. Okay, so that's the first part. And then what I did was I took a piece of the soft sea foam cardstock, which measures, my piece measures 4 3/4 of an inch by 3 1/2 of an inch, and then I ran that through the Petal Burst embossing folder through my Big Shot. So that's going to be my next layer, and what I'm going to do is actually bring it over to this side and have all this border around here. So I'm just going to glue that down. So there's no magic in the sizes. I'm just layering, using a few of the different, I wanted to use a few of the different new colours this Stampin' Up have brought out. And then you can see how lovely they are, and you'll have your favourites as well. I'm glad they brought back Blackberry Bliss. That was one of my favourite colours, and they've brought that back as well. And so I'm just going to pop that over to the left of the card. You can have it centered or whatever you want. This is just what I decided to do, just to make some nice layers. So you get that nice soft sea foam colour next to the early espresso, which I just think really complements it, like that. So that's, and you could even have it in that orientation as well, but I've decided to go this way. And I've got the inside of the card already done, so we're going to go this way. Now, then what, I'm just going to lay that aside for a minute. And on the other side of my grid paper, I've already taped down a piece of shimmery white cardstock, and I've just masked off about 2 of the grid squares from the top of the bottom, just to give me that little nice little border when I finish sponging with my sponge brayer. So it's no magic to how big the grid squares are, it's just I'm just making a little border. So this is the new stamp pad, the new design, and it's like a makeup case. So it's got like a little groove there. So I just open it like that, and then you just slide it down. Now some of them will be a little stiff, but the more you use them, the more you're opening and closing them, they're going to come very easy to use. So I'm just going to, all I'm going to do is there, so you can see that a bit better. So using my sponge brayer, I'm just going to run that like that. And the this particular colour is quite light, and I don't really want it dark, too dark, but you can see I'm just doing one stroke across. I'm not coming backwards and forwards, just always go in the same direction. And you just apply as much as you want to get the depth of the colour how you'd like it to be, because I'm going to stamp the early espresso colour on top of this, because I just think the two colours just go really well together and they just complement each other. So I don't want it to be too dark, so it's just in that middle there, we'll just go a bit darker, but we're going to stamp over the top of it anyway. So I'm just blending a little bit up and down now, just so that that green is really nice and blended all over. You can use the sponge daubers if you want, but I find the sponge brayer is the easiest thing for me to use when I'm wanting to do a sponge panel. Okay, so then all we do is we're just going to take this tape off, and you can see how it's given me that nice white border at the top and the bottom. So I'll just turn that over, and actually, oh, sorry, that just flicked right out of my hand. Now what I was going to say is I'm just going to grab the Stamparatus, which I love. I use it nearly every single day. So I'm just going to put my stamp pad underneath the lid, so I've got some leverage when I'm applying when I'm applying the ink pad to the stamp. So I'm just going to pop that down there. So what I'm going to do is put the sentiment down first. So I just have to make sure I've got it the right way. So I'm going to put it down a little bit in the white where the border is, and then going up into the green. You mightn't like that ideal, but it's just an ideal I'm giving you. So it just gives your card a bit of a different look. Now I've got the new one in the Early Espresso, and that's exactly the same. I'm just going to open it up. Just be a bit stiff for me there, and just slide it down. I'm just going to stamp it lightly because these are new ink pads and they're very inky, very juicy, but I just want to make sure that I've got that, and that's pretty straight. I just like to have a scrap piece of paper there because there's nothing worse than wasting your card. So I've stamped that up with Early Espresso, and I'm just going to put that straight down and give it a good press. And look at that, that is just such a gorgeous colour. Oh my god, that is just so gorgeous. Now I'm just going to wipe that off with my chamois and remove that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm using out of this one, I'm going to stamp this flower here, also in Early Espresso. So it's up to you how you want to position it, but I think that I sort of want the little flowers to go over the top of the sentiment, and it doesn't matter if you don't have the stem on it. And I'm not worried if some of the flower goes into my white border. That's part of the character that I'm trying to create with my card. So we're just going to take the Early Espresso, and I'm just going to stamp, and this is the first time I've used this stamp set, so once you've used a new stamp set a couple of times, it's a lot easier to stamp up. It's just got a little bit of on the edge there, which I'll just remove with a cotton bud because we do not want that transferring onto our card. So I'm just going to stamp that down, and I'll see whether I need to re-stamp it. And I don't think I do at all. I just love that. It's just so gorgeous. This stamp set is just so pretty. And also the soft sea foam colour with the Early Espresso, it just sets it all off. So isn't that just a beautiful colour? I just love those two colours together. And I can see that the soft sea foam colour is going to be one of my favourite ones when I'm sponging. So that's Dandelion Wishes is the new stamp set. So then what I'm going to do is just close my ink pad, which it's very easy, just like a makeup compact, and I'll just got a little bit of ink on there, so I just like to keep them clean. I'm a bit of a clean freak as far as that goes because I don't want to transfer any of it on my lovely card. So what I'm going to do now is bring back in my card, which we've already created, and what I'm going to do is, depending on where you want to position it, you can do it on an angle if you want, or you could just take it to the edge of the Early Espresso, or you could take it right over to the edge of the soft sea foam. And you could also apply it to the card using dimensionals if you wanted to. So I think I'll take it to the edge of the early espresso. So, but I just love the sentiments and how the sentiments are written in this stamp set. They're just so lovely. And I meant to tell you the size of this piece of shimmery white. You know, you just do what sizes you want, but this is the ideal when you want to layer, put multiple layers on a card. It's good to have them all different sizes. So this size is 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. You don't have to do that. Just letting those that like to know the sizes, and I know a lot of you do. That's perfectly fine, but as long as you know, you don't have to have, when we're just layering a card, it doesn't matter what sizes you use. It's just good to have different sizes so that it just adds character to your card. Now remember, when you've got embossing underneath this top image, you do need to have a fair bit of glue on the edges so it will take. And that is just such an easy card, but it's very effective, isn't it? So that's the card for today. So I hope you'll give those techniques a try, and for those that do have the Dandelion Wishes, this is just my first card I've made with it, and I'm just really loving the new colours and the new stamp pads. So that's the card for today. I did start off by, I was going to do a tutorial on this one, but I thought I'd use one of the new stamp sets just to give you an idea, because I've done quite a lot of tutorials on the Lovely as a Tree, because it is one of my all-time favourite stamp sets. But just really doing the same technique, except we layered this one a lot more and we did the sponge panel instead of doing the oval sponged. So I hope you like that card today, and thank you for watching and subscribing to my channel. Until next time, happy crafting.